It is my privilege. Do you want to introduce your husband?
It is my privilege to now welcome to the stage our VP of Creative, the Nathan Lundquist. Where is he? No.
Is this on? Yep. I didn't tell anyone I was going to do this, by the way, so Joel doesn't, this is a surprise. Let's see if I can, I haven't tested this either, so I don't even know if I can see anything, but the obvious question, so why am I standing here with a bag over my head? Well, here's the story. Down arrow. Here's what happened. Okay, so again, I'm the VP of Creative, which means I do strange things, but I thought to myself, you guys there's a lot of information and things to remember throughout these last 2 days, and what am I going to do to get you guys to remember my talk? And so I had this brilliant idea 2 months ago where I was like, what if I came out on stage with a bag over my head? Surely no one would ever forget the time the guy walked out on the stage with a bag over his head. And I was like, this is a brilliant idea. And so told my creative team, I was like, guys, what do you think about me coming out on stage with a bag over my head? And they were like, Nate, you should totally do it. And I was like, all right, I will do it. And then they held me to the fire. They were like, you know what? What if we printed a photo of you with a bag over your head on the cover of the Summit booklet? Then you have to do it. So you may have noticed that photo is not from years past. I took that photo in my garage. And it's funny that I started thinking, what are people going to say when they see this weird guy with a bag on his head? And then I realized, like, nobody asked any questions about it at all. And I realized they must think that this happened years ago, and that for some reason they just weren't there when it happened. Anyway, so what is the point? Because 2 weeks ago, I was sitting here thinking, so I was talking to someone, and I was like, so how many people are going to be at the summit? And they were like, there's going to be like 500 people there. And I was like, oh. And then I started having this, this reluctance. I'm like, wait a second. I'm going to show up with a bag over my head in front of 500 people? FYI, I've never spoken on stage this long. They don't normally give me a mic for more than 2 seconds, for obvious reasons. And so I'm thinking, like, I'm going to look ridiculous. And I do look ridiculous. And this is insane. And what am I doing? So, take it from me. Don't show up with a bag over your head. Now I'm counting on you all to, wow, my voice sounds so different now. I'm counting on you to all to never forget this. I did this for you. All right. So what is the point? So my talk is called Visibility in Your Community. And ultimately, when I thought about this, what I think that really, the way I understand that is I think it ultimately boils down to a conversation about beauty. Because beauty matters a lot. And when it comes to your programs in LifeWise, beauty it plays a tremendous role in how your community rallies around and supports you. And because as the point has been made earlier and made multiple times, they're not going to see, most people will never see inside your classroom. What they will see, beauty is also an investment, and it's worth it. So what's happening in your classrooms is beautiful, but people are not going to see what's happening in your classrooms. What they will see are the things you post online, the way your vehicles are wrapped, the apparel you wear, the materials you mail out, when you show up in the 4th of July parade. Those are the things that people are going to see. That's your community's impression of LifeWise. And so there's a lot of weight upon these things, because forsaking beauty can stand in the way of the support from your community. It can stand in the way of donor confidence. It can speak to the legitimacy of your program. It can stand in the way of staff and volunteers investing their time. It can stand in the way of parents enrolling their students, because as it's been said again, and like Joel said it a million times, people have a lot of options. And so when they're surveying their options, they're looking from the outside. Again, they're not going to be in your classroom, and they're not going to be evaluating, from that standpoint. So we're going to play a little game to get a perspective of how much beauty impacts our decision making. It's a little game called Would You Rather, and you may have played it before. So let's pretend that you're going on a date with your spouse or your best friend, and you got $35 to spend on a movie tickets, and you have to make a choice, and all you're looking at are the movie posters. So which movie would you rather watch? This one or this one? I love this. This is actually kind of a bad example, because I'm really curious about the really horrific looking one. The tagline is amazing to me. They're back and bigger than ever. Christmas. There's no punctuation. All right, anyway. It's this one. So if you're going to a restaurant, again, you have to make a choice. You're going to spend $40 or something on a decent restaurant. Which restaurant where would you rather eat? This place or this place? You can take your chances on the right there, but all right. You got $5,000 to spend on a vacation. Which vacation would you rather buy? This vacation? Whoop. I've never used a clicker before. I don't know if it's showing. Or this vacation. I mean, it's still an umbrella on the beach. But you have to choose based on these images. It's this one. Also, fun fact, 2 days ago I was driving and I saw this ad for a vacation. And it's free. But I don't even know if I would take the free vacation in this case, because it looks like I might get murdered. All right, which school would your kids enjoy more? If your kids are evaluating based off of an ad or a photo or whatever, this school or this school? Which bus do you think your kids want to get on? This bus? Yeah! Or this bus that has a sign on the side that literally says transportation. Thank you, sign. The answer is this bus. Which organization would you trust to teach your kids? Shameless plug, this organization or this organization? It's also called During School Hours, and it's also by Joel Fenton. Joel's giving me some looks. I've not run any of this by him. The answer is this. It's this one. All right, we'll keep going here. But which podcast would you trust? This podcast, shameless plug again. We got a podcast coming out. Or this podcast? It's this one. So beauty matters. This is how people perceive these things from the outside. Matters a lot. But we have a problem. Christians are known for mediocrity at best. All throughout history, when it comes to the arts, when it comes to translating beauty, there's been the church has invested in beauty, in art. But in our modern era, the wheels have fallen off. And when you go to see a Christian movie, your expectations are lower. If it's even like halfway decent, you're like, that was amazing. But you're not expecting Hollywood generally. I think this is a big reason why The Chosen has taken off so much. We have shown up in the public square with a bag over our heads. Here's an article from the Babylon Bee. You didn't know Kanye West was going to be showing up this morning. If you're not familiar with the Babylon Bee is a Christian satire blog, and they posted an article in 2019. This is a joke, but it's culturally very relevant. It said Kanye West becomes Christian, immediately begins making mediocre music. Here's what the article says. As soon as Jesus came into my heart, I repented from my old ways and committed to a new life in Christ, which means making bad, uncreative music for the rest of my life, West said. That's the cost of following Jesus. At first, Christians weren't sure if West's conversion was genuine, but when they heard he was renouncing musical creativity in favor of tepid, uninspired pop songs, they all agreed that this was a sign of true faith and repentance. So I have a bit of a difficult job here today because I'm trying to convince you of something that, I'm trying to convince you to value something that not only costs more, but it takes more time, takes collaboration and relational energy. But I'm not just trying to convince you to value it, I'm trying to convince you to champion it with me and hold the line of beauty against every temptation to do the opposite. And we're going to equip, in case you're nervous about this, we're going to equip you with ways to do this. But the point is that beauty is worth it. So we're going to talk about three things. We're going to talk about what is beauty, why does it matter, and how do we use it. But first, I think it's important to talk a little bit about why have we abandoned beauty. An article from the Gospel Coalition talked about, one of their theories is that beauty, in our modern era, in our attempts, in our effort to share the gospel with speed and breadth and clarity, beauty doesn't totally seem like it fits in that equation. Efficiency of the gospel, speed, clarity, and reach of the gospel. These are the things that often leave beauty seeming like it's flapping in the wind. The Desiring God article also talked about too busy for beauty. In our culture, we have trained ourselves in efficiency, but we must also train our minds in the discipline of beholding in order to contemplate glory. For when the soul beholds glory, it grows wings. Productivity is good, but our souls long for something greater. So I'm not shaming productivity, speed, efficiency. LifeWise is very much about those things. We want to harness everything we can strategically to the kingdom of God. But beauty does take time, and it matters tremendously. So we're going to get into it. So beautiful things cost more, they take more time, they require collaboration, and they communicate indirectly. And yet, our efforts are greatly hindered without it. So what is beauty? Let's get into it. What's your definition of beauty? I want you to think of the very first thing that comes to your mind when you think about the word beauty. The thing that always comes to my mind is makeup, because that's what every, like Amazon or, stores, that's the name of the section. Here's the Google definition of beauty. Beauty is a quality or a combination of qualities that gives pleasure to the mind or senses and is often associated with properties such as harmony of form or color, in proportion, authenticity, and originality. And I think we can do better than this definition. Because as I sat and thought about what is beauty really, I would like to propose this definition to you. I think that beauty is the thing that emanates from the rightness of things. I don't know if you feel that, but I'll just read that again. Beauty is the thing that emanates from the rightness of things. My wife also described it as the way we enjoy the rightness of things. Or another friend said, the manifestation of the rightness of things. The bottom line behind this definition, and why I'm thinking along these lines, is that God created everything, and he created it according to a pattern, and he calls his creation good and very good. When he created everything according to that pattern, when I think about the things that we call beautiful, the ways that we use the word beauty, I think about, it's something you can smell, something you can see, something you can taste. You could call something you taste beautiful. Feeling, like all the senses, hearing certainly, all the senses are involved in beauty, but then it gets even crazier because somebody could say something or have a thought or an idea that you could say, that's beautiful. And so it's a big, big idea. And I think that it's ultimately pointing to that's the way it was supposed to be. That's the way God made it. That's the way he intended for things to be, the rightness of things. Those are the things that we call beautiful. So here's some attributes of beauty. First of all, it is everywhere. We have no concept of how deeply it is woven into the fabric of our lives. It's throughout all of nature. Here's, if you're not familiar, this is the Fibonacci sequence. It's like a mathematical sequence that shows this spiral that shows up all over in nature in these natural ways. Like it's woven into everything. And it proceeds from that thought that we need beauty. We have to have it. Why do we plant flowers in our yard? Like they're not very useful. We need beauty. We need our homes look a certain way, our cars look a certain way. The pews in this church, the ceiling, this thing right here, the microphone I'm holding, like the clothes you're wearing, your glasses, every single thing we think about and like touch has been thought through and designed with beauty in mind because we need it. We're helplessly beholden to beauty, and it draws us to it. I think that's a pretty obvious point in and of itself. But to illustrate that point, I want to play this little clip. This is from A Bug's Life, if you've never seen it.
No! Harry, no! Don't look at the light! I can't help it. It's so beautiful.
Try not to look like a country bug.
If you couldn't hear him, he said, I can't help it. The guy said, hey, Harry, don't look into the light. And he said, I can't help it. It's so beautiful. It's a silly point, but the point remains. Just give you a little break from the deep philosophy here. So the last point about what beauty is that God is beautiful. He is beauty. He's the source of it. Everything else is beautiful because he made it, and he can't help it. So why does beauty matter so much? Point number 1, God is beautiful. It stands on its own. Our expression of beauty is an act of worship. When I was thinking about this point, I thought a lot about Solomon building the temple and the lengths that he went to build the temple. He hired the king of Tyre. He said, I'll pay you anything you want because you guys are the best in the land at cutting down the cedars of Lebanon. And they floated they made rafts out of them, floated them down the Mediterranean Sea, and then hauled them into Jerusalem. It seemed like it would have been easier to pick trees that were local than to do all that. And then he hired another guy who did all the metal work on the temple and all the decorations. But
he went through great lengths. There's a lot of talk in Chronicles and Kings about all that went into the beauty of the temple. And it matters because we're talking about God here. Next point, the care we put into something demonstrates how important we think it is. And again, going right back to the Solomon's temple, the care that goes into that demonstrates that he values God above everything else. And this is true for God, it's true for all kinds of things. You know, the things that you value in your life, you put a lot of care into. Next point, beauty plays a key role in how we share the gospel. Beauty speaks indirectly. It doesn't go straight through your head. It has a sneaky way. I might have a point about this. Not yet. Beauty, I deleted a bunch of slides at the last minute. Beauty has a way of sneaking past your mind. And so many people, even the most powerful intellectual minds of the Christian faith, their own testimonies of how they came to know Jesus are not ones of being won over through intellectual argument by and large. They're won over through a story of beauty that touched them here. And so beauty is pivotal in how we share the gospel because most people are not won through an intellectual argument. There are some that are, but most people are won when they are impacted here. And beauty has this amazing way of just bypassing our mind, all of our presuppositions and everything else. And you may have experienced that yourself with stories like the Chronicles of Narnia. Aslan, his story obviously is a prolific story that mimics Christ's death and resurrection. But it's through this great work of art and of beauty from C.S. Lewis, who his own story is one of being touched not through an intellectual argument. But this has been powerful for a lot of people. Les Miserables, another story just coated with beauty. In the event where the bishop shows grace to Jean Valjean is powerful. It subverts our mind and it hits us here. And that's the beauty has a tremendous impact in our sharing the gospel. Victor Hugo, who wrote Les Miserables, even has this amazing quote. It's one of my favorite quotes of all time, where he says, "Beauty is as useful as the useful, more so perhaps." So the way that you display yourself in public, again, is likely the only experience anyone will ever have of you when it comes to your LifeWise programs. We're bringing this more practical at this point. And beauty matters a tremendous amount. So how do we use beauty? All right, let's get into it. But first, a few thoughts. Ultimately, this is an issue of stewardship. I have a close friend who was just telling me recently how it's really setting in for him. You know, he runs his own organization, how much beauty matters in people getting on board. And it's really tempting to pinch pennies and to want to conserve time. But the things that we were given, you know, as Joel was talking yesterday about the parable of the talents in Matthew, you know, we're not called to hoard the things we're given. We're called to invest those things in the kingdom. And beauty is ultimately an issue of stewardship. It's one of those things to be invested. Here's the other few thoughts for you. As far as LifeWise goes, how we use beauty is tested and proven. I think we can all see the proof of that right here in this room. I'm not at all saying that beauty is the only reason that we're all here in this room. It's not, but it is a key component. At one point in time, we were all outsiders to this. And we were in the shoes of many others that many others are in now. And gospel-centeredness, absolutely. But when we saw the excellence component, we thought to ourselves, this is legit. And beauty has played a key part in that. And my job, personally, is to hold that line, is to say we got to continue to always be doing things with excellence in mind, with coded in beautiful things, because people from the outside are going to be looking to how we present ourselves to ask themselves, is this legitimate? And the proof is in the pudding, so we got to continue to hold the line. Unity is not boring, it's powerful. So one of the things that is that, we're all wearing the same red shirt right now. Most of us. No shame to those who aren't. But it's very tempting to think, oh man, I want to differentiate myself from one program to the next. How are people going to know which program is which program? But it's really important that we protect this red shirt and that red bus, because ultimately, this is bigger than each of our individual programs. This is speaking to an entire nation, what we're about. All the things that were spoken about this morning, this shirt represents much of that. And it's really important that we protect the unity of the whole mission. And it shows people this is not some local effort. It is a local effort, but this is also a national movement. This is a big thing that's happening. And it speaks to the legitimacy, and it's going to help get people on board. Unity is powerful. And here's where I get fired for another example. Vince Coleman, this goes out to you. Unity is powerful. I'm not a sports guy, so I'm in the middle here. But yeah, it's powerful. It's unifying. This shout out to my dad. Unity again. Unity is powerful. This is from yesterday. It should have been from today, because y'all are wearing red shirts. The photo I took from the stage yesterday, the lights completely blew it out, so I took another one from the side. But the amount of red in that room, the red and the black and the white, again, it's powerful. The bus speaks tremendous. We don't have, blue versions of our bus. We don't have green versions of the bus. It speaks to a greater movement. It tells people this is legitimate. I've seen that bus around, I've heard that. Jennifer Jury, Westerville. There's the giant Westerville crowd. She sent me these photos. This is from the tip of South Africa. When you're in another state and you see someone with your sports team shirt on, and you're like, yes, that's my people. She's at the tip of South Africa. If she was wearing a tie-dye version of the LifeWise shirt, how would anyone know that she was a LifeWise? She got the red shirt. It's iconic. All right, I'm not going to get to this point just yet. I would like to invite up my daughter, Ruth Lundquist, to the stage. This is my daughter, Ruth. She's about to turn 13 soon. I'm super proud of her. I told her this morning, I said, protect the red shirt, but wear whatever else you want. Have fun with it. Because we totally get that we want to make this fun. These are kids we're talking about, right? They want fun things, and we want to have variety. And, if you're doing an event that has multiple programs showing up, and you want to differentiate a little bit, we want you to be able to do that. And so I said, whatever. So here, she's got tie-dye skirt, orange lei, but the red shirt still stands out. When I saw pictures of the 4th of July parades, it was all kinds of accessories of every shape and color, but the red shirt and the red bus, they spoke to the unity of the mission and the legitimacy of this whole thing. Thank you so much, Ruth. I'm very proud of you. All right, so that all being said, you're probably wondering, it seems like a tall order that you guys would be helping me hold the line on this front. Yes, we believe it's important, we believe it matters, but how do we actually do it? Well, first of all, we've already done the hard part. We've created the template library. The template library is basically us implementing what we know is tested and proven and beautiful and legitimate in all kinds of varieties and forms of flyers and posters and everything that you guys need to do what you need to do. Now, we know that that's not going to cover everything. So you're welcome to submit your request for some sort of flyer or whatever you want. But that said, we have best practices. We have things that we've tested. We have fundraising events or fundraising methods that we know work. If your idea is not necessarily one of the tested and proven things, we're not going to recommend it because we don't want you to waste your time and energy doing something that we've tried and or we know doesn't work. And so we have the template library. And so submit your request. If it's a good idea and we're like, yeah, that's a great idea, we haven't thought of that, but we'll make a template. We'll make a flyer for you or whatever it is, and we'll make it available for everyone else. I should show a picture of the template library. This is still in the beta form, like it's new, so we're working on making it better as time goes on, and we do that with your help. Here's the big problem, though. You may not be equipped to use it. Enter the beholder. All right, this is a new idea. The beholder. Joel's laughing at me. I think that's a good sign, right? All right, so the beholder. Let me tell you a story about, let me tell you a story. So one of our team members, who's not in the creative division, now they are very creative. All of our jobs are creative, technically, but I'm talking like the artistic creative division. She's working on the website, and this is Emily Warner, by the way, if you know her, she's wonderful. She's working on the website. And she was showing me something she was working on because it's all very technical and IT related. And she made some changes, and I saw them, and I was like, why'd you do it like that? And she was like, it looks really good. And I was like, well, And she was like, and what if we did this other thing? It looks really good too. And I was like, And I was like, you know what, Emily? I want you to repeat these words. This is all over text. I said, I will always consult Nate about design. I will not trust my own creative intuitions. I was given a good job, but it is not an artistically creative one. God and Nate love me just the way I am. So, so that is what I call the beholder's oath. It's the only oath created for people that it's not named after. But the beholder, what is the beholder? So the beholder these are people that see things differently. They are distracted by the beauty of the world. And if this slide doesn't bother you, you are not a beholder. There, yeah, you're probably not a beholder. Again, I've never done this before. Welcome to the body of Christ. We need each other. The beholder's oath. I already went over this. I'm just going out of order now. So this is actually a picture of Emily Warner she submitted that you might find, by the way, at the, if you finish the big picture training, this will be in your email. And I just did this to give props to her because she gets 2 points for making an awesome photo, even though she's not in the creative division. Good job. So, the beholder, I don't even remember what my slides are at this point, so we're all along for the ride now. When you rehearse a talk, you just rehearse the beginning 500 times until you get distracted, and then you don't rehearse the rest. All right, so But the beholder these are people that are in your community that can help you translate what is in the template library, the things that we've given you that go according to our best practices. These are people who can help you translate the things that we're giving you into the language of your own program. Now, how do you find these people? Well, you're going to find them within your local church network. They're going to be oftentimes around creative things. You're going to find them they'll maybe be on the worship team or making slides for the worship band. They may show up late to places. They may dress like they were born in the back of a thrift store. They may look like the band playing up here. You know, these people are on a different wavelength because they are distracted by the beauty of the world. They are beholding this thing, the rightness of things, and they're distracted. And it's important to note that when you look for beholders, certainly, by the way, if you can't find them yourself, ask the people in the band at your church. They will know people in your congregations that can help you with these things. And again, to hire, maybe they'll volunteer their time, maybe they cost more. But again, beauty is worth it. It's an investment and it's worth it. And it's really important too to not just find beholders who can read in the language of beauty and appreciate it, but who can write and translate. These are people who have practice and experience making and creating beautiful things. These are the people that are going to help you take the resources we're giving you and translate them into the language, the beautiful language of your own program. I would love to just tour around all the time and do it for everyone, but I just simply can't do it. And as we scale, it's going to get all the more impossible. So here's the beholder's oath for all of you guys who are not beholders. I will always ask my beholder about creative things. If I am not a beholder, I will not trust my own artistic intuitions. God has given me a different job. It's a good one, but it's not artistic. God and my beholder love me just the way I am. I already talked about where to find beholders. All right, when it comes to photo and video, posting these things online, your phone is a powerful camera. Everybody has tons of experience taking photos. I've seen tons of photos on social media that you guys have taken on your own phones that look great. You can totally do that. You can hire somebody if you want to take professional photos. But honestly, I've seen a lot of great iPhone photos, so you can take those yourself. I don't know what that sound was. All right, when it comes to video, my favorite videos that I have seen related to LifeWise are videos that you have taken yourselves. There is an authenticity to the self-made iPhone video that is beautiful. I wanted to show you a quick example. This is my favorite part of any video we've ever put together. I cry almost every time. All right, amazing example, Tip City. Tip City, I got sent this video and I was like, holy cow, this video is awesome. Like we're talking about now if you're going the route of hiring someone or having someone help you make a video that's not one you shot yourself. They made an awesome video, but they didn't make it. They collaborated with, see at the very bottom, a very special thank you to Living Word Church for helping us put together this amazing video. They found their beholder. You have to find your beholder. All right, class, get out your phones. This is the only class where you have to have your phone. I'm going to give instructions for iPhone users and Android users, okay? So iPhone users, we'll start there. Hold up your phone. This is how you take a video, okay? Now, turn it to the side. Now, you have options for zooming in, and don't do it. Keep the shot wide. When you zoom in, it gets real shaky real fast. So keep the shot wide. Now, if you're like, oh, but the people are way over there, and they're so tiny in my shot, zoom with your feet. Walk over there and film them. Okay? So turn your iPhone to its side, zoom with your feet, keep the shot wide. This is a little poem I wrote. Just for you. Turn your iPhones to the side, zoom with your feet. Keep the shot wide. If you do that, you're going to make something that you can throw online. That's all you need to know. All right, now instructions for Android users. Find somebody who has an iPhone. All right. I need some volunteers. I need about 15 people. Sorry, Steve, I'm over time. I'm going to go real fast. Yeah. All right. I'm going to get like 15 people up here real quick. All right. Who has a newer iPhone? Newer-ish. Yeah, that was good. Ish? All right, we just need 2 people who have newish iPhones. So we're going to have you stand right. Yeah, come on up. Yeah. Anyone else? Anyone else? All right, so here's what's going to happen in a month and a half is that students are going to come flooding into your LifeWise classrooms on their very first day. And I can't be there to film all of it, but you will be there, I hope. So this is a little training on how to film your very first day, because I want you guys to film it with 2 new iPhones or newer iPhones from people in your communities that kind of know what they're doing. Remember the poem. And then upload that footage and send it to us, and you post it online, and it'll be amazing. So, you have a newish iPhone, and then who else? Right here? Okay. You guys come right over here, and you are going to remember the poem. All right. One of you stand right over here. We're going to pretend that this right here is the students walking from the bus into your classroom for the very first day. And these 2 are ready to film the whole thing. So you stand right here. Everybody else, can you all actually go over onto that side of the stage? You can stand right here. We'll pretend these are the front doors of the LifeWise building right here. And you're going to hold it up. Let me check it. Looks good. Now, we are all going to come running in, and we need you to cheer for us, because it's our very first day at LifeWise. We are all going to come in, and they're going to film us, and it'll be great. So this is what it's all going to look like, right? Exactly like this. The keyboard in your way and everything. All right, you guys ready? Yes, I'm ready. All right, 3, 2, 1, go. Yeah! Yes! That's how it's done. Very good. Thank you. You all can hang out up here for a second if you want, or you can go, whatever. All right, so in conclusion, forsaking beauty can stand in the way of donor confidence. It can stand in the way of staff and volunteers investing their time. It can stand in the way of parents enrolling their students. Beauty matters. The way we do these things matters. Beauty is an investment. Beauty is worth it. Don't show up with a bag over your head. Thank you.
If you want to begin teaching the Bible to your public school students during school hours, go to lifewise.org and click Find Your School. Enter your information to sign your community interest list and share it with everyone you know. It only takes 50 signatures to get started.